Good morning, guys. Chris, the Ultimate Recycler, back in the emergency storage shed for another episode 164 we're up to today. We're forging ahead. Will we get to 200? I don't know. There's still a lot of stuff to go. So lately, if I swing the camera around, we've been working on that top shelf. Oh, we finished the top shelf. We did a couple of boxes at the end. Last week's box was the mother load of tins, vintage tins, collectible tins. Ended up quite a lot of value. So if you haven't seen that episode, and the playlist will be below in the description. If you want to see the entire playlist, there's enough content there to keep you busy for quite some time. And it's been an interesting journey. Right, today we're going to continue down where we got the box of tins from. I think there's some really old paintings or prints there next. Let's have a look. Okay, so we are past halfway in the shed. It's quite a walk down to the end wall here. We still have, well, the wall is still over the back there somewhere. So a bit of a way to go. We probably will certainly get to 200 episodes, I think. You may remember I sorted out all my TV remotes and everything. They're all stored up there for now. And we do have to head back along that shelf, which looks pretty interesting. And the box here, well, they're the old prints and paintings. They're very old. I'm not sure where they came from now. We'll take them through to the bench and have a look. But this box was the one that was a bit squashed from the box of tins that was sitting on top. And we can have a bit of a pre-look, a sneak peek. Next week's episode looks like silverware, metalware of some sort. So that could be quite interesting. And then we have a timber box down below. And we have some tin boxes. And it looks like there's a wheel from an old lawnmower there. Maybe a cast iron door from an oven, not sure. Lots of intrigue there, but let's get these ones through. This looks particularly early, maybe 1920s. Yeah, these could be quite interesting. Okay, as per normal channel protocol, we bring our treasures through to the desk here and have a good look at them, much the same as a dog might take its treat, an unusual food morsel to its mat and check it out before it eats it. Unless, of course, you've got a Labrador, then they eat it straight away and their stomach sorts out what it was. We've got a boxer and she's actually quite well behaved with food. She loves her food, but she checks it out first. We could have some value here. Let's have a look. Now, I do remember where these came from, and they have a code on them which is 12EL. I think they're all the same. And L is the year. This is just a code I made up to keep track of how old my stock was when I purchased it. And that was 11 years ago. So these have been in storage for quite some time. I think they were in my old shipping container. Now, if I try to avoid reflection, this looks like a series of early photos. They could even be real photos of some sailing ships. I don't know where, and maybe there's some information on the back. It's certainly quite early, and I think probably 1920s-ish, maybe 30s. So that's pretty cool. I do remember the house they came from. It was a clean out in a nearby town, and there was a lot of old stuff in the sheds. Oh, that's okay. That's nice. That could well be an original. It's dated 1925. Oops, sorry. I should be looking at the camera to see where the reflection goes. So I'm not sure of the name. I might have to research that. It's quite well executed. It's probably an original watercolor. So interesting. It's in pretty good condition too. So 1925, right. Here's one that's not in a frame. And oops. Oh, it's another one of the same. Well, it's not the same, but it's the same artist. And it's another bird. Exactly, oh, not quite the same pose. Looks like a willy wagtail, not sure. But yes, if that's a known or listed artist, there could be some pretty good dollars here, and it's been sitting in my shed, well, my shipping container, and now this shed for a few years. Same code. Doesn't feel like there's glass on this one. No, the glass has probably been broken. Lovely old frame. That looks certainly 20s, maybe a little earlier, a bit Art Nouveau. Unfortunately, the plaster moulding's broken off on that one. These are usually timber frames with an applied plaster decoration on the corners. You can probably have that recreated. That looks an original painting. Looks like it says Barrett. And I'm not sure of the date there. I mean, first glance it looks like 83, but I don't think it'd be 1883. I think it's an original. Yeah, okay. I have to do a bit of Google research on these artists. This looks like an old frame. It's a frame within a frame within a frame. It's got the old timber wedges that they used to use. Very old nails, the remains of the wire. And it looks like it's canvas. And it's got something written on there. I haven't turned it around yet, so I don't know what it is, but it has got something written on there in pencil. Also, maybe just dimensions there, but that's certainly got something written there. Let's turn it around and see. Oh, the frame's coming apart. It's a pretty early landscape, probably in oil if it's on canvas. I can't see a signature. Oh, maybe that's a signature, or maybe they're reeds. No, it's very dark. It's probably quite dirty. Remember, a lot of these paintings hung in houses where there was open fires, and of course back then everyone smoked, or nearly everyone. So they get very grubby and they do darken up. But yeah, interesting. It's a lot of timber work for a relatively small painting. All right, I'll have to clean that back up and see if we can read anything. Let's not damage that other painting. This last one looks much more modern. And there's no code on this. What do we got? Oh, it's glassed. Yeah, it is from the same place. And there's a watercolour, and it looks to be an original. It's behind non-reflective glass, so when you see the reflection, it's much more subdued or blurred than the reflections on the other ones. And I can't quite make it. I think there's a date after that too. It could have been reframed, so it might be quite an old painting as well. All right, I'm going to have to do some research and see what I can come up with. Back into the storage shed, because I just noticed down the side here, there's a couple more, and they're probably from the same place. So I might as well do all of these in one lot. This feels like it's got glass on it. Oh yes. Oh, it looks 20s again. And quite Egyptian. Oh, it looks like some of the paint from the camel has translated to the glass. That's not ideal. Okay, there's a clear signature there. Looks like M. Hassan, something like that. Now, Egyptian stuff was quite popular in the early 1900s. In fact, when, I think, what was his name? Howard Carter discovered Tutankhamun's tomb. Here we go, pyramids again. That was in the, when was that? In the 1920s? I forget now. I should remember that sort of history. So, yeah, the same artist. Certainly looks like M. Hassan. Rightio, well, we'll have to research those, but I think they're in actually very good condition, or quite good condition. So I'll add them to my research pile. I'll be back to you shortly. Okay, let's start with these two Egyptian-themed paintings. They are original watercolours. I couldn't find anything particular on Mr. or Mrs. M. Hassan, but apparently Egyptian paintings were very popular as a high-end tourist item back in the early 1900s. The actual Egyptomania, they called it, era was probably from the late 1800s through to about 1930. I did look up Howard Carter, and he was the one that discovered Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, but he had discovered other tombs in the Valley of Kings previous to that. So there was a lot of Western interest in Egypt, and these are called Orientalist artworks, even though the Orient now we kind of associate, or I do, more with Eastern Asia. Back then it was also the Middle East, and the Western culture was quite fascinated. Well, the Western society was quite fascinated in Eastern culture. So these were very popular. This one's not in such good condition. It's got I think that's a watermark. It originally looked like it hadn't been finished, a bit of a mountain in the distance, but it goes right through into underneath those palms. So, and also the mat is actually timber, and it looks like it's been moisture affected. So that one's a little bit damaged. That would have happened before I got it because they came out of an old shed. But they're still really nice pieces from the mid 1920s, and I think they've got a reasonable market, and they're great colours. They've really survived well. I'm going to probably just put 100 on the pair. I did check online. I couldn't find any of the same, but I did see some similar that were bringing much better money than that. AI suggested that they could be 200 to 300 US, but you know, it's probably referencing what some people are asking. Realistically, I'd be happy to get 100 for the pair of these, and I think they're a great find. I really like the artwork, but I'm not going to keep it here. So there we go. Found out a bit about them. I can't retire yet, but they're nice pieces nonetheless. Now, this old oil painting on canvas, I really have no clues to go on. I cannot find any signatures here. The canvas itself isn't in the best condition. It looks like it's kind of rippled and the high points have lost a bit of paint. It's probably filthy dirty. Judging by it, looks like there's an old spot of where water might have dropped. And really the scene, to my mind, doesn't have a lot going for it. It's fairly drab. I'm guessing it's not Australian. It's possibly the UK or something, although I'm not sure what those plants would be. The frame itself is also very rough, all three sections of it. The outer frame's very loose. It's got bits of plaster missing. Corners have opened up. It's definitely an early piece, possibly 1900 or earlier. I did mention before it had some writing on the back, and I cannot make anything out. I've given it a bit of a brush off. There's certainly something written in pencil there. It's almost easier to read through the camera. Does it say lake something in the middle? I don't know, maybe it's Scottish, something like that. Maybe that says lock. Very old timber, very old everything. So I don't think it's got much value, but it's certainly an early piece of artwork. I might, given its condition, I might just put $25 on it. It'll look cool hanging up just purely as it is. I don't think it's worth restoring. But yeah, very early piece. All right, we'll say 25 bucks. Pluck a figure out of the air. If anyone's after that old original oil painting look, there you go. I'm pretty sure there's no painting underneath it because the canvas taps from both sides. It seems there's nothing between it. You do have to check. Sometimes there can be nice artworks behind average artworks. But anyway, there we go. We'll just write down 25 for that one. The next painting cleaned up very well, and I'm sure it's been reframed, and it is an Australian watercolour. And I'm finding AI is actually particularly helpful at identifying signatures, and that says Arthur A. Lyons, and AI seems to think that says 38. I'm not sure about that, but when I did search Arthur A. Lyons watercolour artist, it appears he was active in the mid-40s. That's all I could get out of Google. I couldn't find any biography on him, but apparently he was known for bush scenes, watercolours, seascapes or coastal paintings, and this one certainly fits. And I did find a couple of others with an identical signature, so we know that's right. We just don't really know a date. He's not overly well known. I couldn't find many auction results. In fact, I could find one for it was estimated 200 to 400 and it made 120. That was only a couple of years ago. This has certainly been reframed if it is mid-40s or at least 38, given that it's got a framing ticket there and it's quite neat. It's got modern wire on the back. So it would have probably been in an older frame. Maybe that was damaged. The painting's still okay. So a nice piece. I'm probably going to put, I don't know, I don't want to be ambitious on these things, but I think if I put about $80 on it, I think someone will appreciate it. It is an original artwork, and even though art has dropped a lot in value in the last 3 or 4 decades, it may make a comeback. It might be a good investment for someone. I don't like it enough to keep it, but it's quite a nice piece. So there we go. What did I say? $80 I think we'll try on that one. Now this maritime painting was easily identified by AI as Walter Barrett, and this couldn't have been 1883 because he didn't start painting until the late 1890s, and I think he went through to 1935, so it could be 1923 maybe. Anyway, it's a nice early original painting. He did a lot of these maritime type scenes with sailing ships and that sort of stuff. And he also did Australian landscapes, but apparently these sort tend to bring better money. I think he was Australian, and he painted, I believe, a lot around Tasmania. So quick bio that I read online. It's a nice piece. It's got a bit of foxing. It hasn't got the glass, as we mentioned, so the painting's probably got a bit grubby, but it doesn't appear to be damaged. I think that would be able to be cleaned off okay by someone that knew what they were doing. It's really stands out. I actually quite like this one, but I'm not going to hang on to it. I saw some results from his sales. One of them, I think his best price was like nearly $6,000, and that was yachts in the Sydney Harbour. Most of them, though, that I could find results on were only in the hundreds. And because this one, obviously the frame's damaged, we don't have glass, the paintings needs cleaning or restoration, I'm thinking I'm just going to put $100 on that. But he is a listed Australian artist, he's quite well known, and you can see he's extremely talented. That's just absolutely fantastic. I love the way he's got the reflections on the water. Obviously knew what he was doing. So a nice piece, not in good condition, but we'll put that in the shop for $100 and we'll see how we go. I think that would be well worth having cleaned up, or getting cleaned up and reframed, and you would probably be a good investment, that one. But anyway, there we go, $100, hopefully. Now these two bird studies I think are the pick of the bunch, and they're painted by Harold Hepburn Calvert, and AI is proving very useful at identifying signatures, although that could be worked out. 1925, these are from the early part of his career. He was a noted artist with, and I believe his father was too, with bird studies. And these are not willy wagtails. That one is a superb fairy wren, or known as a blue wren, and this one is the red-backed fairy wren. So Australian birds, Australian scenes, very talented Australian painter. And I found some auction results of many hundreds for some of these, and AI seems to think that because I've got a pair, even though one's obviously not in its frame, they could be worth a fair bit. I'm probably going to be conservative again. Apparently his best works sold for over 1,000, and it was a study of a magpie. I think we'll just put, look, I might try 300 the pair. AI was quoting figures of 300 to 500 individually, and AI is pretty useful. It's not all inaccurate information. It searches a lot of art sites and sales platforms, and it does get results, although sometimes they're just estimated values. I'm going to try 300 the pair on these as they are. That one's pretty good as it is. It really cleaned up quite well. This one, the painting's a little grubby, and you can see, as with the Egyptian ones, the mat is actually a timber mat, and that's still in fairly good condition. There's a few marks on the front there, but I think that would clean up fine. They haven't been water damaged. So I think they're the pick of the bunch. Really nice. I love the colours. So we're doing all right here. And of course, it's another thing to sell them, but, you know, I think I'm conservative from what I've been researching. We've just got to find someone that likes them. Now, the last piece to go through today is this series of 3, and I suspect they're real photos of sailing ships, and judging by everything else I've found today, I'm going to presume they're Australian. Again, I think 1920s. It's in an oak or blackwood frame, and interestingly, it's actually screwed together. I haven't seen that in frames before, and I think that's original. But we might try and take them out to see if there's any information on the back of them. Unfortunately, it's been water damaged this end, and that one's quite faded. The centre one's very good, and I think they'll clean up fine. That one's pretty good too. It should be easy to access, and we don't have to take the frame apart. And I'm not sure what's going on with the backing here, but I think we can probably even slide that end out and have a look. Don't know how much value we're going to have here. It'd be just interesting to see if there's any information on the backs of the cards. Okay, half of the nails have fallen out. There's only one really here, and that wasn't held in by much. The wire actually has slipped under the paper there. Well, that helps us get it out. So we might be able to slide this all the way out. Yeah, it's been wet by the looks of it. And half the card's missing from the back. And it's just some cardboard to back as backing. Now, the pictures are... That's got paper over the back. Oh yeah, we can get to the back of them. And paper's very brittle. It doesn't look like there's anything on the back of the actual photos. This was the worst one, wasn't it? Alright, I might try and take this one out and have a look, and I won't disturb the other ones. I'll run a blade across there, I think it'll be easier. We can always put a bit of tape over it later. Okay. I wanted to peel it off the back. So, alright, so they're not postcards, they're just regular photos, I think. Alright, there we go. Very dirty. Let's give that a bit of a gentle wipe. Alright, well, they're not in bad condition. This one certainly had water drip across it, but there's no writing on them anywhere. And they weren't postcards. No writing on the back. I'll get an eyeglass and have a really close look at that. It looks like it is a real photo. If it's a print, you'll see lots of little dots, little dot matrix, but I'm pretty sure it's a photo. It's got the right glossiness to it. So we'll check that out. I'll just use a magnifying glass here. And it's actually pretty good quality. Is this going to work? I probably won't get a focus. Maybe. I'm trying to look at the camera. I don't know if I'm staying in focus or not. But it looks pretty good. It's a pretty good quality photo. So I'd say there's a real photos. And I'm thinking they'd be about 1920s things, so everything else is about that era. So yeah, it's a shame they're not identified on the back. We better put it in the right way. So I think I'll just put this back in. I'll put some sticky tape around it just to hold the paper down, and we'll sell it as it is. Someone can have it restored or fixed up. Yeah, but it's a shame it's been water damaged. Okay, I switched the remaining backing board down to the end that was warped. That end's quite stable. I've put some new nails in here to hold it together, and of course I have a supply of rusty nails, especially for the job. You don't want nice shiny ones in here. So that's more stable and more together, and I think it's going to look quite a lot better. It's still stained, and that, whoops, we'll get you in shot. It's still stained and the end one's quite faded, and you can see a watermark across it. In fact, it's across all of them. I think there's been a drip go right across the whole lot. But anyway, it's more presentable. There we go, that's better with the ring light off. So it's much more presentable. It's still obviously damaged and has been water affected, but it's quite presentable. It's a good, strong, solid frame. And I think I'll put $30 on that. I think it's quite a nice piece with the original photos, particularly if someone's got an older house in a maritime type situation, or they've got a boat theme going on. Perhaps you have a homestead next to a lake somewhere. It'll be awesome decoration for that. And yeah, I reckon 1920s. We'll go for $30. And that brings us to the business part of the video. They look great, all set up like that. I've cleaned them just a little bit. I think they'll look awesome in the shop. And as for looking awesome, how's the bottom line on the notepad? Potentially $635. And I've said throughout the video, I think I'm being fairly conservative. I could send them all off to auction, but you know, you lose so much in commission, and really they could all go for next to nothing, and that would be a wasted exercise. I'm happy to have them sitting in the shop for a while. In fact, I'm happy to have them sitting in the shop for quite a long time, and I'm sure someone will appreciate them and they will gradually disappear. So I'm putting $635 in my notepad and on my list for my total from the emergency storage shed. What was there to mention? Pretty well the prices are as I discussed. The early oil painting, Google picked these plants as cabbage trees, which are apparently native to New Zealand, but they do grow widely throughout Australia, so could be New Zealand scene. There's certainly a lot of lakes and mountains in New Zealand, so, and maybe the printing on the back did say lake such and such, which is in New Zealand. Not sure, doesn't really affect my price, but yeah, it's an early piece. The frame's certainly Victorian, so late 1800s. It's the oldest piece we've got here. The rest of them are pretty well all around the 1920s. So what a really nice haul. Happy to go through these, happy to get them out of my storage shed. I'll be pleased to get them into the shop, and I'm sure they'll look great. Okay, that was fun. I quite enjoy researching, and I quite like artwork. And even though there's nothing here I'll keep, I like just about all of it. It's really well done. It's great colours, and the fact that it's pretty well, just about every one of these is over 100 years old. It's pretty amazing. So it was good fun doing this. We got a good total on a notepad. I mentioned AI quite a few times during this video, and I was one of these people that was initially very anti-AI. I didn't like it. I'd wish it hadn't been invented. I'd read all these eBay descriptions and people posting things on Facebook with the clearly AI slop descriptions. It would, half the time the description didn't really even match what they were selling, and AI would go on about highly collectible and all this stuff. I didn't like it, but I've got to say, as far as research goes, it is proving very helpful, valuable, saves me a lot of time. I don't treat all the answers as gospel. I do my own research as well, but to take a photo and just upload it straight to AI without even asking a question, you get some really interesting observations back. And AI does, it's not making out information, it's not relying on a memory bank like humans do. It's actually researching across the web, and it could find sites that would take me ages through Google to actually find, and particularly sites like art sites and auction results and that sort of stuff, where it's pretty well factual information. But even for recognising signatures, I found it quite useful. And it doesn't have to get it right. At least it gives me a lead to start searching on my own. So I found it really useful. I'm going to use it a lot. I heard a quote the other day about AI and all this scaremongering about losing jobs and AI is taking over the world. Well, the quote was, you won't lose your job to AI. You'll probably lose your job to someone that knows how to use AI. So with that in mind, I'm embracing it. I'm using it as much as I can. I'm naturally very skeptical and cautious, but as a guide for researching, I'm finding it quite useful. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. Let me know in the comments which was your favourite piece of art, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.